Welcome to the video training. Today we will talk about how to turn your residential property, basement suite, or a part of the house that you don't use into a licensed daycare operation that can make you up to $8 to $14,000 in monthly revenue. We'll chat about how this is possible, what is the feasibility, what things you need to keep in mind before you can decide if it is something that will work out for you. Hi, my name is Raj, licensed realtor out in BC for the last 8 years, in the daycare business for almost 10 years. I run and operate my own commercial and residential locations and have helped many people, clients, friends, family to do the same thing, converting their basement suites of their principal properties or investment properties into fully operational daycare businesses. Let's talk about who this is for. If you're a homeowner or an investor that's sitting on a detached home with a little bit of a backyard and roughly around 6 to 800 square feet of basement suite with a separate entrance, then this is for you. This video training will show you a proven path to generating $8 to $14,000 in monthly revenue by running a daycare operation out of your own home. This business model offers recession-proof income, much higher cash flow than traditional rentals, full control over your daycare operation and the schedule, a service that truly helps families in your community. Whether you're looking to replace rental income, build equity, or enter the daycare space, this is a good fit for someone that wants a hands-free experience and yet something that makes them $8 to $14,000 per month in monthly revenue. Even if you hire somebody to fully automate this business, you're still walking away with $4 to $5,000 in your pocket. Here's what you will learn today in this video training. The real opportunity, why everyone is after daycares, and why are people paying tens of thousands of dollars for already running operations. Right now, the evaluation for daycares in Surrey and Langley alone is roughly $15,000 to $20,000 per kid. So if there's a commercial space that's set up for 20 kids after in operation for 2 to 3 years, these places are easily selling in multiple offers for $400,000 to $500,000 for business only without the asset. We will also talk about the four most common beliefs people have that stops them from looking into this opportunity, and then a complete blueprint 5-step process that you can follow after you watch this video and start a daycare on your own. Last but not the least, we'll also talk about a supported launch path, which will allow you to get set up and running in 60 to 90 days with expert guidance that will allow you to save money and avoid delays. So BC's childcare crisis is the real business opportunity. Call a daycare, well, obviously if you're watching this during business hours, and see if they have a spot available. Chances are they will probably have a spot available for the next intake, or they are on a wait list already. There is a huge shortage of daycares in all communities within BC, which is why you see the government launching all these incentives to back up these daycares to continue operation and open more locations. Now, obviously, there's a reason you're watching this video. Let's do the math quickly. Your typical basement suite right now, you're probably renting for $1,800 to $2,000 per month, given that it's, good amenities in the neighborhood and you are in a prime location. If the location is not as prime as, being close to bus stops and things like that, you're probably looking in the $1,600 to $1,500 range for a two-bedroom suite. The income you're generating and somebody's living in your home full time, you're responsible under the RTB rules to make sure that if there's any repairs, any damage, to fix that and to be there for tenants if they need anything of assistance from you as a landlord. Now, look at this in a daycare facility capacity. Let's just say you're opening a daycare in your same basement suite that's making you 2 grand a month. Here's the math. You can host up to 8 kids in a daycare facility. Going prices right now in Surrey are $1,200 to $1,300 per kid. That being said, at 8 kids, you're looking at roughly $9,000 to $10,000 per month. This price changes based on the location you're in, so that's why there's an average of $8,000 to $14,000. Also, you can do before and after school care, some weekend classes that can boost up your revenue. If we just stick to the simple math, 8 kids at $1,200, you're making 4 to 5 times more than what your rent makes you. And also, you get to own and enjoy your property. The reason why this is so successful is because, especially if you have kids, not only they can go into your own home-based daycare, but they can use the facility after hours and on weekends. And don't forget, this also increases your property value by at least 100,000, if not more. Like I mentioned earlier on in the video, I have been working with daycare operators for about 10 years now. My mom actually runs a daycare out of her own house as well, and we have other commercial residential locations. Not only my own location, but I've helped multiple clients get into the daycare space as well. Some examples are right here on the screen, and my company name is called Giggled and Dimples. You can look us up, see what parents have to say, see what our partners have to say, and that should give you enough proof that I'm not just making this up. It's actually coming from a place of experience and expertise. Being in this business for 10 years, I'm in a position now to help others and I want to grow with you. So we'll talk more about how we can work together towards the end. But today, this is pure value. My only intention is to give you the entire blueprint hands free so you can actually follow this step by step and get this going for yourself. So, the number one thing that people think that stops them from opening a daycare is they believe that they don't have enough space. Here's the thing, you need roughly 40 square feet, to be exact, 36 square feet per kid to open a daycare. And this space doesn't include washrooms, hallways, foyer space from where the entrance is. And you want to have dedicated space for play area, nap area, and outdoor play space. So if you have even 6 to 700 square feet off a basement suite with separate entrance, safe entrance, and exit, that's very important, safety first, then chances are most likely you will get approved for this. You don't need a huge mansion. Fraser Health has specific requirements, and like I said, if you have 6 to 800 square feet of living space, there is a very high chance that your layout is feasible for a daycare operation. I have helped homeowners with spaces ranging from 6 to 700 square feet to get a daycare business license to operate a daycare out of their home. If you decide to work with us during our feasibility review, we take a look at the layout and tell you upfront if this is something that will be approved by the licensing officers, or if we see any potential challenges, we can also recommend the changes you can make. No guarantees, but this is just coming from experience. It allows you to understand the concept better so you can take that next step. Not only the space, a lot of people also believe that licensing process is too complicated. It is complicated, yes, but not when you know what you're doing. It's literally a checklist that's given to you by Fraser Health, and you go step by step, fill out the checklist, and as long as you're able to answer all the questions adequately and satisfy them, their biggest concern is always safety. So if you can advocate how you can provide safety to the space, to the layout that you're proposing for a business license to be obtained from, then it is not that complicated. If you just follow the checklist step by step, you can get a business license. Takes time, yes, which is where we come in. If you want our help, we work with you one on one to get this done for your location. The licensing process typically includes you filling out a business application for a business license with Fraser Health. Second step is once you have done that, there's inspections, and that has to be approved before you can go to the second step. Once the inspections are done and your licensing has approved the layout, then you move on to the third step. The licensing process includes Fraser Health application and facility review, fire safety inspection and equipment, city zoning confirmation for the business license, policy documentation, and emergency procedures. Each requirement has a clear criteria and a checklist. Once you go over these checklists and collect what they are asking for, you file it with Fraser Health. That's step number one towards getting your business license approval. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. If you are thinking that you need to be a ECE holder to do this, you're wrong. You can simply just hire somebody that has the certification, work with them in a partnership capacity, and get your daycare up and running. Think of it like this: if you have investment properties, you hire a property manager to collect rent, to find tenants, and they do all the work on your behalf. Same thing with daycare operation. You give the space to a daycare licensee who has ECE certification and they run the operation for you. This is probably one of the biggest misconceptions. And now that we've addressed this, let's move on to the next part. A lot of people think that it probably costs a lot of money to set up a daycare operation. Not true at all again. It will cost you around $2 to $3,000 for equipment, for minor layout changes, for making the place more safe for kids to get a place up and running for a daycare operation. The biggest thing is you're not buying anything new. You already have the space. You're dressing it up for it to be compliant with the policies and to get approval for the license. So it does not cost you an arm and a leg to get this up and going. Which other business can you start for $2 to $3,000 investment from your own home that makes you $8 to $14,000 per month? Most daycares launch with an initial investment of $5 to $15,000, and that's with hiring a professional who will walk you through the entire process and get the license for you. But if you want to do it on your own, which you should be able to after watching this video training, it will cost you less than 5 grand to get started. Now, this is that part of the video training where I'll go over the blueprint step by step to help you understand what you need to do to get your daycare up and running. Look, it isn't guesswork. You follow these steps one by one, and you should be in a position to have a proper plan to launch your daycare business. Number one, like we discussed, feasibility and layout planning. You want to see if you have enough square footage to host 8 kids in your home. Then you want to see if you have enough play space and parking. And you can download these documents by simply going to Google and searching the requirements in your city from your local health authority. For Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, it's Fraser Health. You can go on their website, download these guidelines, and you can get exactly what you're looking for to see if the space that you own is feasible for a daycare operation. Second thing you want to study is licensing approval. So what does the Fraser Health Authority look for in your application for you to get approval? You want to have the right procedures, right policies for your daycare operation, right intention, which is what Fraser Health looks at before they give you an approval stamp for your daycare business. Once the first two steps are done, you're preparing the space for a daycare operation. This you can do by simply visiting some daycares in your neighborhood, get an idea of what they have done for their setup, and then copy paste, but in your own taste. Once your place is set up, step number 4 is your policies and procedures, which will also be needed in the first step and the second step when you're actually applying for the business license. So all of this work is preliminary work. You will have to do this as a part of your checklist, and this also allows you to actually use these things that you're proposing for business license to execute when the daycare is up and running. So most of the work is actually done in the step 1 and 2. Everything else is just following the checklist. Last but not the least, enrollment and launch. Once you have your inspections happening, your layout is ready, your business application is approved, you should be working on marketing your daycare to the neighborhood that you're in so that you actually have parents lining up to send their kids to your school. Now let's go in depth. Feasibility and layout planning. You want to make sure that your space actually flows for a daycare operation. You want to see how many exits you have, if there's enough exits in an event of a fire. One tip I can give you here, if you have bigger windows in your daycare, in your basement suite, which is going to be converted for a daycare use, licensing officers actually look at that as a potential fire exit as well. So that is something that can help you if you have big windows. Play area, you roughly need 80 square feet to 100 square feet per kid. So if you have a yard space that has 6 to 700 square feet of area where you can set up the toys, then your play area is approved based on the requirement from the city for the square footage you need to have in place for you to get the business license. Washrooms need to be accessible. You cannot have very narrow doors. As long as it's accessible, safe for kids to enter and exit, should be okay. Parking, one of the things that a lot of people miss out on is parking spots. As long as you have 2 dedicated parking spots for parents to drop off and pick up their kids, you should be okay. So step number 2, we briefly touched upon this, the licensing roadmap. You have to work with City and Fraser Health side by side to get this going. You submit the application to Fraser Health. Your policies, your procedures, your opening hours, your curriculum, everything is a part of that. Once you do that and they approve that application package, that's when the city steps in for inspections. And this is the roadmap you typically follow to get a business license approval for a daycare space. We've already covered this part, child-proofing your place for daycare, but here are some points that you can keep in mind when you're designing your layout before the city comes in for final inspections and you get that business license. You want to have a dedicated sleep area, that's called nap room. You want to have a play area. You also want to make sure that access to the outdoor play area is actually feasible from the daycare space you're planning on opening the operation in. Okay, so that was it. Thank you for sticking around. Hopefully this gave you a lot more clarity than when you started watching this video. Now, what I'm offering you is a one-on-one call with myself and my team. We have created Daycare Launch. This is where we walk you through step by step every single thing that you need to know. Do a complete feasibility study on the layout, on your address, on the zoning to see if it is a good fit for us to work with. And because of the current demand, unfortunately, I'm only able to work with 2 to 3 qualified people every quarter. If you're really serious about getting this up and running in your own home, feel free to send me an email or click the link with this video to book this one-on-one call, and I will see you on that call.